Hello, my name is Branden Bryce. Welcome to the Veggie Gardener. So it's still Saturday. I know I'm releasing these every day, but I'm still wearing pajamas, so I'm gonna give you a sec to go get in your pajamas, go grab a cup of coffee or tea. This is cold by now, but hey, it's something. All right, and we're gonna talk about really cool vegetable patterns now that we just got through the calendar. So I'll see you in a bit. All right, welcome back. So we just went through the calendar, and that might have been a little bit of a headache for most people, for some people, I guess. I shouldn't say most. But now we're actually going to get into something that I think is really fun and super exciting because it's just really, we can cover a lot very fast, and we take a lot of the memorization out of gardening, but we can still learn just a phenomenal amount. Okay, let's get into it. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to look at the plants based on what part of the plant we eat. We're going to look at leaves, roots, and fruits. In this case for fruits, it's botanical. We are talking about fruits botanically speaking. So the botanical definition, which is the fleshy part that holds seeds. Now really it doesn't have to be that fleshy. Legumes, those are like those dried pods, green beans, peas. But for us, you know, it's the part that holds the seeds. It's the reproductive organ, in essence, of the plant. Roots and leaves, I think those are pretty easy. All right, so what we're gonna do, or let me start this way. So here's the cool part. Roots and leaves, if we eat the root or the leaf of the plant, we can just make the educated guess that it's a cold season, because there's almost nothing that I can think of that we eat the root or the leaf of that's a warm season. Everything that's we eat the fruit of are warm seasons. So let's put that up on the board. Warm. And cold. Let's highlight that a bit. All right. Cold, warm. Cool. All right. And then what we are going to do is, for our cold season plants, we're really just going to look at large versus small plants. Now that might take a little bit of knowledge in the sense of like you've seen that plant before. So I guess if you don't have that knowledge, you can always just do a I don't know, I'd say an internet search, but then again, I guess you have to have some reference on what's a large or cold or small. All right, so small is something like about this big. Okay, large is something like about this big. Cool? Small, large. Lettuce, cabbage. Cool. All right, so for large, cool season plants, we can assume about 3 to 4 months for maturity. For small season plant or small plants, we can assume about 2, maybe 3. Some of them, I guess, are 1. We're going to assume 2. 2 to 3. 2 to 3. All right, that's messy. Let's redo that. That's about 3 months. Okay, 2 to 3 months for maturity. Okay, and then spacing. Whoop, not that. 18 inches. All right, for small, that one's kind of tricky because sometimes, I mean, for like if we're going for carrots, it's like 2 inches, but somewhere between 2 to 6 inches, something like that. The roots are typically going to be on the shorter side for our spacing. If you have the leafies, because they're going to be flopping out more, that's where you're going to get the 6 inches. So if we're looking at carrots, beets, radishes, whatever it is, it's going to be around 2 inches spacing. If we're looking at something like lettuce, chard, spinach, we're going to go for the 6 inch spacing. So actually, let's do that. Let's do, yeah, R for roots, L for leafy. Okay, and then transplant. Will we transplant a small plant? Heck no, we're not going to transplant that. Are we going to transplant a large plant? Heck yes. All right, there we go. And now we go on to our warm season. So our warm season, we're going to actually split up into 2 groups again, but we're going to split up into bushes and vines. Now, for all of these, pretty much, we can assume about 3 to 4 months. Cool? Okay. For spacing, this is where it's going to be different. For bushes, let's lower that a little bit more. 18 inches. For our vines, now for our vines we can do 2 different things. We can either trellis them, or we don't have to trellis them and we can just let them roam on the ground. I'm going to assume that we're just roaming them on the ground. 3 feet spacing if you don't trellis your vines. If you trellis your vines, we'll do no trellis. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, we'll do that. And then if we trellis our vines, it's, I don't know, about 6 inches trellised. That looks like 6 equals. 6 inches trellised. I don't like the look of that. We'll say sprawling. That's what we'll call it, sprawling. So 3 foot for sprawling, 6 inches if you're trellising. That's our spacing. All right, are we going to transplant? Certainly we can transplant the bushes. Now we can transplant the vines, that's not a problem, but really, I mean, as I try and transplant as little as I can, to be completely honest, just because I guess maybe you can say I'm lazy and I don't want to go through all that work, but it's also costly to create transplants. It does extend the season, but most of our vines anyways, like not to say they produce and then they're done, but it's okay to just plant and then let them produce. They're not going to be like the bushes where they produce. They're going to be more like they produce until they run out of steam. So really for these guys, I don't. Plus, most of our vines are going to be, we haven't gone over families yet, but most of our vines are going to be in the family Cucurbitaceae, which is the cucumbers. That's an easy one to remember. Melons, squash, and yeah, well, those three: cucumbers, melon, squash. And again, not again. They don't really take transplanting very well. So so they don't take transplanting very well. You can transplant them. I'm not saying you can't, but it's just easy not to. So why would you do it? I guess extend the season. Okay, but really, that's all I wanted to say. And there you go. Like all right. If I gave you a test, and I gave you a plant, and I told you, if it's, hopefully you know what part you're eating. But if all I have to do is say like, hey, you're eating a root and it's a small plant, tell me how to take care of this plant. This is super cool. All right. Anything else? I didn't actually print off my notes this time. So introducing the next topic, we're going to cover bed prep next. All right, one quick note, because I did mention legumes and I don't want to confuse too many people. The legumes and the alliums, again, I know we haven't covered families, so let me state this in just plain terms. Beans and peas are legumes. Those guys are funny, so they don't fall into this. And the alliums are the onions, so onions, leeks, and garlic. They're interesting because they are kind of in this roots section, and they are small, but again, they're gonna be a little bit of a different beast here. And those are the only two that really don't comply with this easy method of educated guessing on your management style for whatever plant you're looking at. Cool, that's all I needed to say. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day.